Everybody that's anybody in the music business performed live from Studio A.
It's Columbus radio at its finest.
They like it. That's where the support comes from.
I love WCBE, and I can't imagine Columbus without it.
At Woodlands, it's Oregon Fairchild. They've got a brand new release we're going to be talking about, hearing some new tunes, I'm guessing, from the album Leisure Suit. And 6 p.m. tonight, it's kind of a pre-party for Dogs in a Pile over at Summit Music Hall later on tonight. But Oregon Fairchild, welcome back to WCBE.
It's so great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been about a year, and we talked about the last one, Brewed in Buffalo, last time you were here, but we've got this new one to talk about, where it all started and why after 40 years plus of working together, there's only 2 albums out. But, but we'll hear all about it. What are you going to warm us up with first?
We're going to play the title track from the new album, Leisure Suit.
All right, here we go. Nice. That is Joe Belanti, Corey Kurtzy, and Dave Ruck together. They are Oregon Fairchild. And it's the lead-off track you just heard, the title track to Leisure Suit, their brand new album. And tonight they're over at Woodlands Tavern at 6 o'clock. A pre-party for Dogs in a Pile. That'll happen later on tonight over at the Summit Music Hall. Lots of great stuff going on, always right here in Columbus. And, well, the last time they were here was about a year ago when their first release came out, Brewed in Buffalo. They're from Buffalo. And, well, it was recorded a little differently since the last album that you did, and some pretty special people you worked with on this one. Alan Evans being one of them, who has performed. We were lucky enough to have him and his trio here in the studio, of course, with Soul Live. A lot of people might know him from. So tell us a little bit about how you got hooked up with these folks.
Sure. We recorded the first record, Brewed in Buffalo, in Corey, our drummer's basement. And so we were all kind of feeling our way through, and we're very proud of how that came out.
Yeah.
But then for this second album, we just decided we wanted to try going to a more professional studio and see what the results would be, where he didn't have to think about both engineering and playing on it at the same time and then working with all the stuff after the fact. So we went to Justin Guip, who is the current drummer in the band Hot Tuna, and he spent years working with Lee Von Helm, both recording his Grammy-winning albums and also being the engineer at some of his live shows and at the barn. So we recorded at Justin's place in the Hudson Valley, and it just, man, I mean, maybe one of you guys has the words for it.
It was fantastic because it was like in a valley, and you pull up and there, beautiful trees, and the studio's like on, half of a mountain, and it was just so comfortable. You just you need a little breath of fresh air, go for a walk in the woods. I mean, it was amazing.
The best of both worlds with that lovely atmosphere, and then of course, recording techniques.
And we're so happy with the way it came out. It's definitely a more professional sounding record than our first one, and we're thrilled with it. And then Alan Evans, who you mentioned, did the mastering on it. So with the two of those guys putting their touches on it, we're just thrilled with how it came out.
Now, why Leisure Suits? Because
well, that's a whole thing too. So just in terms of the process as well. I mean, getting just one more thing on the album. So we spent, I think, 4 days at Justin's place, maybe 4.5 days. Whereas the first one we did it ourselves, we were in Corey's basement. It was like a 6.5 month long rehearsal. It's basically what that first album turned out to be. And so this time we had to make decisions quicker and just move things along a lot faster and prep a lot better. The Leisure Suit idea came from the song that we just played when Dave brought it to the band. That was already named Leisure Suit. So we were sitting around the control room, and I guess, I don't know, was it me that said it?
It was you that said it.
So tragically, I'll take credit for that then, or blame however it turns out historically.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we were sitting in the control room, and that was the first song that we recorded for these sessions working with Justin. And we were sitting there and we're listening to the playback, and it wasn't terrible. And it's a lot of times you're your own worst critic, and you just want to go fix it. And it's playing back, and I leaned over to Dave and I said, "Jesus, sounds pretty good. It'd be cool if, like on the album cover, like we all wore leisure suits because of this song." And then we bought leisure suits, and now that's on the cover of the album.
So any of those weren't from family?
No, but there was a funny comment on Facebook the other day where it's like, "What Goodwill did you get those at?" And it's really like, they're expensive online. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're retro now, right? Yeah. We all had leisure suits in the 70s.
Right. But that's why I didn't know if anybody saved any of your parents or anything.
We had to go looking for these.
The song was named Leisure Suit just because when I wrote it, it sort of had this, to me, it had kind of a 70s vibe to it. And when I think of the 70s, one of the things I think about are leisure suits, of course.
And you look dashing in them, too, I tell you. It's right on the cover of the album, and you can see it on socials, Oregon Fairchild. And we'll come back and talk some more after this next song that they do for us. And tonight, again, the show at 6 p.m. at Woodlands Tavern on 3rd Avenue in Grandview. What's the name of this one?
Oh, Morning Coffee. I wrote it down in my studio like one morning, having coffee. I have 1 cup a day. I'm very excited for that one.
It's your limit, yeah?
Yeah. It's and when it's sober, it's horrible. But so I was just drinking the coffee, and I wrote it one morning, and I love, like, I'll throw tunes at these guys, and then I could tell if they like it or not in Dave, I think he goes, oh, wow. You know, so then oh, okay, I got a chance with this one.
A lot more than a chance. It's a great song.
All right, and here it is. Fellas, it's Oregon Fairchild live from Studio A with Morning Coffee.
All right.
Excellent. Song Morning Coffee. It's Oregon Fairchild live from Studio A. And tonight they'll perform over at Woodlands Tavern at 6 p.m. And is there a cover charge?
There is not. It's a free show.
Thank you for clarifying that.
It's $10 if you don't come, but it's free.
Go, right.
At 6 o'clock, right. 6 o'clock, Oregon Fairchild. And for those who didn't hear our interview the last time, explain how Oregon Fairchild, the name came to be. It's a pretty funny story.
So Dave called me with this idea. Well, there's a couple steps before that, but I'll give you the shorter version. So he had this idea that the three of us would form an organ trio. So my first question was, well, and I'm the organ player. I said, well, what's an organ trio? Because I had not really ever looked into that or researched any of the old, the classic groups from the 50s and 60s. And okay, so we talked about that. And he said, oh, we got this name. And he said, Organ Fairchild. I said, well, and I asked the same question. Like, where did that come from? And he had said, well, we wanted to get Organ Freeman first to make it a little bit more, maybe not all the way back to the 70s and 80s. And, more people would know Morgan Freeman than would know necessarily Morgan Fairchild. But there's already a band in L.A. called Organ Freeman, and they're quite a good band. So we all had posters of Morgan Fairchild back in the day, so we ended up with Organ Fairchild.
Makes sense.
We've gotten
a lot of sense.
Quite a bit of positive feedback from it, so it's been good.
The three of you have been playing together for 40 years in some form, shape, or form, right? But
Correct.
Only since the last album have you put out original material and written your own songs, right? Why so long? Did it take so long?
We all met when we were 17 or 18, and we played in essentially Grateful Dead cover bands, and we played some other stuff too, Allman Brothers and the band. Corey went on to write a whole bunch of music and play it with other people. He didn't want to play it with us, apparently. And then, so the three of us, in the context of playing in a band, we always had played cover tunes. So when we got this band together just 3 years ago, right before COVID is when we did our first show, we made it a point to, although all three of us do sing somewhat, to not sing in this band, and then to see how much original material we could write. So it's been a total blast to do this with these lifelong friends and now be creating new stuff, both as compositions and then nightly. We tend to extend these songs when we play them live, and so on any given night, any of these songs can go any number of different ways. So it's just been a thrill to be creating new stuff every day with these guys.
It sounds so good.
And traveling, seeing different places.
Yeah, you guys have been out for a while now. I know I've seen some photos. Did I see Andy Frasco? Because that's a wild one right there.
Yeah. He's awesome.
I know,
I love
yeah.
him.
We've been
hilarious.
fortunate to cross paths with Andy Frasco
Yeah.
quite frequently, and we got to open for him.
And a lot of groups, yeah. Mo, who's also from Buffalo, actually,
Yeah.
COVID took care of it. They were supposed to be
We heard they were
with
supposed
us.
to.
Yeah,
They were
so-
going to be here last week.
Yeah, but they still luckily, were unscathed for the band members. Hope everybody else is okay, but
Right.
Yeah.
they could still perform that
Sounds
show.
like
But you guys have known them for a while
We were
too,
just
right?
hanging with them last weekend.
Oh, cool.
Actually.
Nice.
Yeah, in fact, we played a gig with Vinny, the drummer of Mo, a week and a half ago at a festival. So,
Very
yeah, but you mentioned us being out for a while. This is actually, we have done some tours recently, but this is day one of about a 6-day trip we're going.
gotcha.
So we came from Buffalo this morning. We're playing at Woodlands Tavern tonight in Columbus, and then tomorrow we're in Indiana and Kokomo. So all new adventures for us, being mostly northeastern people ourselves. We're going to make it all the way out to Iowa, to Davenport, and then we're going up to Chicagoland area for 2 shows, one kind of an hour north of the city and another one right in the city.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on another great release. We
Thank
just
you so
love it.
much.
And thank you for taking the time and
Absolutely.
loading all your
Thanks
gear
for
in here
having
to play for us today. We love what you do. And safe travels until next time.
Thank you, Maggie. Thanks for
Yes,
having us.
absolutely.
We
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much.
You're welcome.
Love
It's good
coming
to see
here.
you again.
And
Thank you.
Thanks to Mike behind the knobs
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Our ace engineer back there, right?
It sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
All right, guys. Well, what are you going to take us out with?
So our last selection is a song called Bobby Pins, which didn't have a name when Dave. This is a song that Dave wrote. So we were trying to come up with a name, and Dave and I were chatting about the English beer Boddingtons, because I've been to England for the work that I do during the day several times, and that was my favorite beer that I had while I was there. And somehow we got talking about it, and Corey was sort of half listening, but he was probably in the control room trying to make us two sound good. And he's like, what are you talking about? Bobby pins?
What's bobby pins
And then,
mean?
so that's,
There
and
you
then
go.
that's, now it's immortalized.
I love how it all comes together like that.
Exactly.
It's Bobby Pins live from Studio A with Organ Fairchild.
Thank you so much. Ready?
Yeah.